Welcome to Jersey Reads the Classics, an audiobook podcast delving into the finest works of our literary masters. Unfortunately, it's read by this woman.
What the hell? Who cares? Let's go on an adventure.
Hello, and welcome back to Jersey Reads the Classics. Well, my friends, so we are definitely in the home stretch because this is the official last video for the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, because the next 3 chapters are very short, and I kind of feel like we need to get the journey over with, because literally it's like 4 pages for 3 chapters. So I'm going to read chapters 22, 23, and 24. I mean, 24 is literally a paragraph like that big. So without any further ado, let's get to our wonderful conclusion of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L.Frank. And we are now going to proceed to chapter 22, The Country of the Quadlings. The 4 travelers passed through the rest of the forest in safety, and when they came out from its gloom, saw before them a steep hill covered from top to bottom with great pieces of rock. "That will be a hard climb," said the Scarecrow, "but we must get over the hill nevertheless." So he led the way, and the others followed. They had nearly reached the first rock when they heard a rough voice cry out, "Keep back!" "Who are you?" asked the Scarecrow. Then a head showed itself over the rock, and the same voice said, "This hill belongs to us, and we don't allow anyone to cross it." "But we must cross it," said the Scarecrow. "We're going to the country of the Quadlings." "But you shall not," replied the voice, and there stepped from behind the rock the strangest man the travelers had ever seen. He was quite short and stout, and had a big head, which was flat at the top and supported by a thick neck full of wrinkles. But he had no arms at all, and seeing this, the Scarecrow did not fear that so helpless a creature could prevent them from climbing the hill. So he said, "I'm sorry not to do as you wish, but we must pass over your hill whether you like it or not." And he walked boldly forward. And yet we have another obstacle. Now it's these men. Oh yeah, remember they talked about the men that don't like people going to the south? Here we go. Let's see what happens with his big head and a wrinkled neck. As quick as lightning, the man's head shot forward, and his neck stretched out until the top of the head, where it was flat, struck the Scarecrow in the middle and sent him tumbling over and over down the hill. Almost as quickly as it came, the head went back to the body, and the man laughed harshly as he said, "It isn't as easy as you think." Oh, damn. He showed the friggin' Scarecrow that. It's like, paching, paching, paching. This was also not in the movie. There are some chapters here that I'm just like, come on, L.Frank. How many obstacles are you giving? But once again, it's the analogy of life, right? It's a metaphor for life. A chorus of boisterous laughter came from the other rocks, and Dorothy saw hundreds of the armless hammerheads upon the hillside, one behind every rock. Oh, hammerheads upon the hillside. It's kind of like alliteration. Hammerheads upon the hillside. The lion became quite angry at the laughter caused by the Scarecrow's mishap, and giving a loud roar that echoed like thunder, he dashed up the hill. Again, a head shot swiftly at it, and the great lion went rolling down the hill as if he had been struck by a cannonball. Dorothy ran down and helped the Scarecrow to his feet, and the lion came up to her, feeling rather bruised and sore, and said, "It is useless to fight people with shooting heads. No one can withstand them." "What can we do then?" she asked. "Call the winged monkeys," suggested the Tin Woodman. "You have still the right to command them once more." The Tin Woodman has had many very good ideas. And for a guy who only wanted a heart, he's got a good balance of the brain and the heart. You know what I mean? "Very well," she answered, and putting on the golden cap, she uttered the magic words. The monkeys were as prompt as ever. I like people that are prompted on time. Sorry, I'm from the East Coast. You gotta always be punctual. And in a few moments, the entire band stood before her. "Hey, hey, we're the winged monkeys. What are your commands?" inquired the King of the Monkeys, bowing low. "Carry us over the hill to the country of the Quadlings," answered the girl. "It shall be done." said the king. And at once the winged monkeys caught the four travelers and Toto up in their arms and flew away with them. As they passed over the hill, the hammerheads yelled with vexation and shot their heads high in the air, but they could not reach the winged monkeys, which carried Dorothy and her comrades safely over the hill and set them down in the beautiful country of the Quadlings. Ah, come hell or high water, come hill or high water, we're going to get these people to the friggin' Glinda. Remember the good witch of the south? They're getting there. They had that one thing. Dorothy, you know what? She really has they're a good band. They're good comrades. I'm telling you. It's all within her. So let's see where we're going now. Okay. This is the last time you can summon us, said the leader to Dorothy. So goodbye and good luck to you. Goodbye and thank you very much, returned the girl. And the monkeys rose into the air and were out of sight in a twinkling. The country of the Quadlings seemed rich and happy. There was field upon field of ripening grain, with well-paved roads running between, and pretty rippling brooks with strong bridges across them. The fences and houses and bridges were all painted bright red, just as they had been painted yellow in the country of the Winkies and blue in the country of the Munchkins. Oh, it's like a rainbow. The Quadlings themselves, who were short and fat and looked chubby and good-natured, were dressed all in red, which showed bright against the green grass and the yellow and grain. My God, I want to go to Oz. I want to go to meet the Quadlings. The monkeys had set them down near a farmhouse, and the four travelers walked up to it and knocked at the door. It was opened by the farmer's wife, and when Dorothy asked for something to eat, see, Dorothy knows, the woman gave them all a good dinner with 3 kinds of cake and 4 kinds of cookies and a bowl of milk for Toto. How far is it to the castle of Glinda? Asked the child. It is not a great way, answered the farmer's wife. Take the road to the south and you will soon reach it. Thanking the good woman, they started afresh and walked by the fields and across the pretty bridges until they saw before them a very beautiful castle. Before the gates were 3 young girls, dressed in handsome and red uniforms with gold braid, and as Dorothy approached, one of them said to her, "Why have you come to the South Country?" "To see the good witch who rules here," she answered. "Will you take me to her?" "Let me have your name, and I will ask Glinda if she will receive you." They told who they were, and the girl soldier went into the castle. I'm loving that the soldiers are women. I'm loving it because it's ruled by a woman. I'm totally loving it. After a few moments, she came back to say that Dorothy and the others were to be admitted at once. Ooh, I love it. Let's see what's going to happen. Oh my God, I'm so excited I can't even freaking turn the pages. Oh, okay. Here we go. Well, that was the end of chapter 22. All right. Okay, so really quickly on that, Dorothy needed some food. Dorothy has asked again. She knocked the friggin' farmer's door. Dorothy's good at this. It's like she's a traveling salesman. She's good at being like, we're hungry. Where's Glinda? We got business to do. They don't even need to stay overnight. So this is great. She's on her road. The hammerheads upon the hillside. Very interesting. None of that was in the movie. And I think in those days they wouldn't know how to do. But today with CGI, you could be doing all the hammerheads and probably that big spider and stuff. They didn't have CGI in those days. Anyway, point is this. Chapter 22 was very short. Nothing so exciting to glean from it. It's just that they got their focus. They know where they're going. But now we're going to meet Glinda. So let's move on. You ready? I'm ready. Okay. Chapter 23. Glinda, the Good Witch, grants Dorothy's wish. Aww. Before they went to see Glinda, however, they were taken to a room of the castle, where Dorothy washed her face and combed her hair, and the lion shook the dust out of his mane, and the scarecrow patted himself into his best shape, and the woodman polished his tin and oiled his joints. When they were all quite presentable, I love it, they're getting ready for the friggin' ball to see the the queen. They followed the soldier girl into a big room where the witch Glinda sat upon a throne of rubies. Here we go. See, they're red for the rubies. I get it now. Yellow for the diamonds, green for the emeralds. You see, it all works out. She was both beautiful and young to their eyes. Her hair was a rich red in color and fell in flowing ringlets over her shoulders. Her dress was pure white, but her eyes were blue, and they looked kindly upon the little girl. "What can I do for you, my child?" she asked. Dorothy told the witch all her story, how the cyclone had brought her to the land of Oz, how she had found her companions, and of the wonderful adventures they had met with. The wonderful adventures, you see, she's not bemoaning them. My greatest wish now, she added, is to get back to Kansas, for Aunt Em will surely think something dreadful has happened to me, and that will make her put on mourning. And unless the crops are better this year than they were last, I am sure Uncle Henry cannot afford it. Glinda leaned forward and kissed the sweet, upturned face of the loving little girl. Bless your dear heart, she said. I am sure I can tell you of a way to get back to Kansas. Then she added, but if I do, you must give me the golden cap. Willingly, exclaimed Dorothy. Indeed, it is of no use to me now, and when you have it, you can command the winged monkeys 3 times. And I think I shall need their service just those 3 times, answered Glinda, smiling. Dorothy then gave her the golden cap, and the witch said to the Scarecrow, what will you do when Dorothy has left us? I will return to the Emerald City, he replied, for Oz has made me its ruler and the people like me. The only thing that worries me is how to cross the hill of the Hammerheads. By means of the golden cap, I shall command the winged monkeys to carry you to the gates of the Emerald City, said Glinda, for it would be a shame to deprive the people of so wonderful a ruler. Oh, am I really wonderful? Asked the Scarecrow. Oh, you are unusual, replied Glinda. That's funny. Turning to the Tin Woodman, she asked, what will become of you when Dorothy leaves this country? He leaned on his axe and thought a moment. Then he said, the Winkies were very kind to me and wanted me to rule over them after the Wicked Witch died. I am fond of the Winkies, and if I could get back again to the country of the West, I should like nothing better than to rule over them forever. My second command to the winged monkeys, said Glinda, will be that they carry you safely to the land of the Winkies. Your brain may not be so large to look at as those of the Scarecrow, but you are really brighter than he is when you are well polished, and I am sure you will rule the Winkies wisely and well. Ah, here she goes. She notates that he's smart. See, he always has ideas. He always has better ideas than the friggin' Scarecrow, but they're both going to rule. Then the witch looked at the big shaggy lion and asked, when Dorothy has returned to her own home, what will become of you? Over the hill of the Hammerheads, he answered, lies a grand old forest, and all the beasts that live there have made me their king. If I could only get back to this forest, I would pass my life very happily there. My third command to the winged monkey, said Glinda, shall be to carry you to your forest. Then, having used up the powers of the golden cap, I shall give it to the king of the monkeys, that he and his band may thereafter be free forevermore. Oh, damn. I have a feeling Glinda is a descendant of Gayelette, because wasn't Gayelette from the South? Ah, look at me putting 2 and 2 together. Gayelette, Glinda. Gayelette created this thing for the monkeys, and now it's back in Glinda's hands, and she's going to free them. Ah, look at it. It's all coming full circle, and everybody's going to have their happy ending. I'm not going to get on a happy ending. They're all going to be doing what they're supposed to be doing because they trusted in themselves, and they followed the road, and they were kind, and they were of service, and now look what's going to happen. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. The Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman and the Lion now thanked the good witch earnestly for her kindness, and Dorothy exclaimed, you are certainly as good as you are beautiful, but you have not yet told me how to get back to Kansas. Your silver shoes will carry you over the desert, replied Glinda. If you had known their power, you could have gone back to your Aunt Em the very first day you came to this country. But then I should not have had my wonderful brains, cried the Scarecrow. I might have passed my whole life in the farmer's cornfield. And I should not have had my lovely heart, said the Tin Woodman. I might have stood and rusted in the forest till the end of the world. And I should have lived a coward forever, declared the Lion, and no beast in all the forest would have had a good word to say about me. This is all true, said Dorothy, and I am glad I was of use to these good friends. But now that each of them has had what he most desired, and each is happy in having a kingdom to rule besides, I think I should like to go back to Kansas. "The silver shoes," said the good witch, "have wonderful powers, and one of the most curious things about them is that they can carry you to any place in the world in 3 steps. And each step will be made in the wink of an eye. All you have to do is knock the heels together 3 times and command the shoes to carry you wherever you wish to go." "If that is so," said the child joyfully, "I will ask them to carry me back to Kansas at once." This is going to make me cry. This is so sweet because it's all about them being of service to each other. Dorothy's not bitter. She ain't mad that she always had the answer of going home at her feet. Hello. We'll talk about that in the woo-woo. And yet she knows that she's helped everybody. She's made good friends and she's had a wonderful time. But now it's time to peace out, bitches. Okay. She threw her arms around the lion's neck and kissed him, patting his big head tenderly. Then she kissed the Tin Woodman, who was weeping in a way most dangerous to his joints. But she hugged the soft, stuffed body of the Scarecrow in her arms instead of kissing his painted face, and found she was crying herself at the sorrowful parting from her loving comrades. Glinda the Good stepped down from her ruby throne to give the little girl a goodbye kiss, and Dorothy thanked her for all the kindness that she had shown to her friends and herself. Oh my God. Dorothy now took Toto up solemnly in her arms, and having said one last goodbye, she clapped the heels of her shoes together 3 times, saying, "Take me home to Aunt Em." Instantly, she was whirling through the air so swiftly that all she could see or feel was the wind whistling past her ears. The silver shoes took but 3 steps, and then she stopped so suddenly that she rolled over upon the grass several times before she knew where she was. At length, however, she sat up and looked about her. "Good gracious!" she cried, for she was sitting on the broad Kansas prairie, and just before her was the new farmhouse Uncle Henry built after the cyclone had carried away the old one. Uncle Henry was milking the cows in the barnyard, and Toto had jumped out of her arms and was running toward the barn, barking furiously. Dorothy stood up and found she was in her stocking feet, for the silver shoes had fallen off in her flight through the air and were lost forever in the desert. We're just going to do chapter 24 because it's literally 5 lines. Chapter 24, Home Again. Aunt Em had just come out of the house to water the cabbages when she looked up and saw Dorothy running toward her. "My darling child," she cried, folding the little girl in her arms and covering her face with kisses. "Where in the world did you come from?" "From the land of Oz," said Dorothy gravely, "and here is Toto too. And oh, Aunt Em, I'm so glad to be at home again." The end. Of course, these are not fake tears. These truly are what I'm feeling. I cry at all the end of these books because, okay, whoa, all right. Well, no good deed. I mean, these are all great deeds and they've all been rewarded. And usually they say no good deed goes unpunished. But these kids, they have gone through everything. Trees, forests, muckety-muck, hammerheads, China country, Quadlings, Waddlings, Winkies, who knows, the Wicked Witch, this, that, and everything. And guess what? They all finally got their just dessert. Dorothy has finally gotten home. The rest of them have found their places in life, their lot in life. They're wise they're wiser for this wonderful journey. They're grateful, and now they can move forward. And the winged monkeys, who have been very helpful to everybody in the book, guess what? They're finally going to be free. So everybody, Gayolette, I think it's Gayolette's granddaughter, great, whatever, many times. Glinda is Gayolette's ancestor, well, not ancestors, whatever. And she's going to free the monkeys. All right, how am I feeling? Well, my friends, Dorothy had the power to go home the whole time. Home was already where she was. And she just didn't know because guess what? She had to go on the journey. And she had to help her friends. You notice how they said, I wouldn't have had my brains, I wouldn't have got my heart, and I wouldn't have gotten the courage. And Dorothy wouldn't have made these wonderful friends and had these wonderful, blissful experiences. Though they may have seemed tumultuous and very scary and very dark and, very, very, they are scary and unknown. Guess what? She's not bitter about it, but she got home. She got to a destination, and it was all in the power of her. She is home. She's always been home. It's been at her feet the whole damn time. But the thing is this, like ourselves in our journey, we already are home if we choose to find that place of peace, calm, serenity, and that beauty within. We are there already. It's just that we have to go on the journey. And the journey is experiencing some sadness, some fears, some things that just bring us a lot of, angst and worry and doubt. However, if we are smart enough and through all these experiences, learn the lessons, take what we learn, pick up the lessons, and then utilize them and get stronger and stronger, we get back to ourselves, our home within, which is always with us forever and ever. So no one and no thing or no occurrence in your life can take you away from you unless you give it the power. Because your silver shoes are truly your spirit, your essence. If you don't want to call it spirit, I don't care. You don't have to. Just there is a life force within you, whatever you want to call it, that is unique to yourself, to the whole world. And it's always been there since the moment you were shot out of the birth canal. And you have it now. And in those times of worry, fear, doubt, or you think that everything's falling around you, it's there. Call upon your life force. Learn from the lessons. Learn from everything that's happening around you. Take and glean. Make new friends. Make new experiences. Enjoy the ride. Understand that you've come here to experience highs and lows, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. But if you trust enough, if you keep the faith, if you keep working on yourself, finding the love and compassion and confidence in yourself, asking for help like Dorothy did when you need help, because there's nothing wrong in asking for help, and being of service and being a good person, you will land wherever you're supposed to land. So my friends, I'm not going to go on a long diatribe. I just want to say this has been a pleasure. I say that to every book because they all are. I have grown with this as well, and it's been wonderful. Even though I feel I'm being of service, it's also been wonderful for me because, when you say that you're being of service to others, you're actually receiving yourself. So I also have taken some lessons from this because I myself am also experiencing isolation. I live alone and unemployed, and I'm during this, I'm in this pandemic with the rest of you. So this has also been very healing for me and continues, and it also has awakened me to things that I continue to need to work on. But once again, we already are perfect, whole, and complete. We are all enough, we are all worthy, and we are all embodiment of love if we choose to be. So let's start choosing that path of light and love and peace and joy, and knowing that you are so worthy and you are loved and you are enough. You are enough. Just own that and continue to love yourself and be gentle and kind and compassionate with yourself. So all those good, beautiful things that you give to yourself will be so outpouring that that's what you can give to the rest of the world. And let's all do this together, because I know we are all in this together. All right, my friends, wishing you so much light and love. Hoping you enjoyed this wonderful book. Yes, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L.Frank Baum. And I never did look up L. I don't know what it means. Maybe it's Lawrence. Maybe it's Loving Frank Baum. That's just a joke. But I'm hoping you enjoyed it all. And I want to thank you again for joining me on the journey. And until we read again, bye. Peace.